Hey everybody, Damon D here, and it's my honor and pleasure to be announcing Jesse Bartz of Lopan from Columbus, Ohio. They have a new record that's coming out April 4th on Magnetic Eye Records. The new record is Get Well Soon, and Jesse is the drummer. So how's everything this evening, Jesse Bartz?
Not too bad. Pretty cold here in Ohio.
Nice. So for the people that don't know the band or aren't familiar with it, give us a little bit of the sound of the band.
Sure. I mean, we're definitely an original rock band. We get lumped into a lot of different genres and stuff, but for the most part, we emphasize a lot of rock riffs with heavy melodic vocals.
And then from a drum perspective, who are some of your influences as a drummer?
Oh man, I have a ton of different influences and stuff. I've been playing since I was about 7 or 8 years old. I cut my teeth on stuff like definitely Danny Carey, John Stainer, David Bruzy, definitely Dave Grohl, Matt Cameron. Matt Cameron is huge influence on me and stuff too. Jimmy Chamberlain, huge. Vinny from Unsane, huge. Abe from Deftones, definitely up there. Also Alan from Quicksand, huge, huge, huge Quicksand fan too. So a lot of influences in that direction and stuff, but mostly like mid '90s, some post hardcore stuff in there and stuff too. But mid '90s grunge and stuff. That's kind of where I was, a teenager and really cutting my teeth on music.
Yeah, that's a really good list of drummers right there. Pretty impressive. So how do you, just one more thing about playing drums is that how do you, obviously you have influences, and what do you take from maybe some of those different drummers and add it into the band that you're in now? How do you look at
Well, I
that
would
when
say
you,
definitely different tones, drum wise and stuff, like different cymbal action and different snare drum sounds and stuff. Definitely my snare drum sound. I'm not on anywhere near the same par or anything, but one of my absolute favorite snare drum sounds of all time is Danny Carey. He has an 8x14 brass, and I play an 8x14 brass also. Um, but beyond that, I like definitely like the bass drum from Helmet Meantime, which is John Stainer, and a huge influence on that and stuff. And I kind of really like the way that he lays back in the beat and in the pocket a lot. I try to bring his influence into my writing when I'm listening to what we're demoing back and forth, guitar riffs wise and stuff like that. So definitely bring those kind of influences in during the writing process.
cool, yeah, and that was going to lead into my next question was the songwriting process, which how does that go? Is it everybody gets in a room and jams, or is it people live in different cities and kind of send files back and forth, or in the
No, we all live
studio,
in
or
the
how does that work?
we all live in the same city. We all live here in Columbus. We get together 2 times a week, pretty ritualistically, no matter what. Um, I would say it's mostly the Thompsons, Chris and Scott, the guitarist and the bassist. They kind of bounce ideas back and forth to begin with, get a rough draft or a rough idea of what they want to do. And sometimes they're able to put that down on like a demo. And then I can listen to it before we go to practice. But sometimes we just go to practice and we just sit in the same room and write it all out and stuff. And that's just for the music side of things. Once we have the music side of things nailed down, it usually takes us a couple weeks to try to like really nail down the music side of things. We'll start playing it for Jeff at practices, and he'll start thinking about lyrics and stuff, and then we'll record it, and then he'll take it home and he'll try to hash out what he wants to do lyrically for it.
And as the lead singer, I don't believe he plays an instrument. Is that correct?
He does play instruments, but not with Lopan or anything. He
Okay.
has started to play some guitar here and there and stuff.
Okay. So as the lead vocalist, is he the primary songwriter and lyricist? I mean,
He
from a lyrical perspective, or does the guitar player and the bass player come in with lyrics, or does he just say, "No, I'm lead
Nope.
vocal, I do the whole thing."
Yep. That's his lane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought you'd say, but I just wanted to check there. Interesting.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
so the new record is out April 4th on Magnetic Eye Records, and I believe there's 9 tracks. So uh, let's talk about how this record is different than the previous 4, because I believe this is your fifth album. Is that correct?
Yeah, fifth or sixth. It just kind of depends. We had an EP that we also put out, but this is our, I think, fifth full length.
Full
Yes.
length, yeah. So how is this one different from maybe the previous four? Is the band, what ways have
Um,
it changed, or the band growing and how they write songs, or the sound has changed, or
I would say somewhat, but you should always change. You should always progress. You should always, push in different directions and stuff. I think for us, it's just a more of a maturing factor and stuff. We've been together for a little bit longer, so we kind of know how to read each other a little bit better and stuff, and we also know how to set our foundations up a little bit better, especially when it comes to leaving room for vocals and melodies and things like that. For us, it's also the eighth or ninth year that Chris has been the guitar player in our band now, so it's definitely more a cohesive unit that way and stuff. It really shows in our maturity in the writing process that way.
yeah, definitely that's pretty cool. So for me, I think there's two. To me, there's a lot of good tracks here. And by the way, the guitar sounds really good.
Thanks,
The
man.
the bass tone is insane. It's really kind of got
Awesome.
this distorted, deep. I don't know if you're familiar with King's X, but
Oh yeah,
it sounds like Doug Pinnick's bass, like the tone anyway, which is
very cool.
really aggressive and good. And then again, the drum sound is fantastic. And I think one of the things that you mentioned was kind of playing back in the pocket a little bit, because
Sure.
there's not all this kind of roto fills and crazy flashy stuff, but it's really driving and locked in with the bass. So it gives it a good foundation with that really aggressive guitar that I don't know if he's playing through a Marshall, but it's really kind of, crunchy and aggressive. And then the vocal, interesting here for me, the vocals are really good. The guy really sings in key a lot and has good, tone and range, which kind of sets, I think, this apart from maybe some of the other bands on the scene where the vocals maybe aren't as good. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
No, I appreciate all of those observations and everything. Definitely, they were part of putting this together and stuff. We, as far as the guitar tones and stuff, there's a lot of different amps on the recording. We had the luxury of recording this album in Columbus. On our previous recordings, a lot of them we have traveled, so we had to get them done in like a week or 2 weeks or something like that. In this one, we got to stay at home and drag it out over like 2 or 3 months and really nail down what we wanted to do. My drums and the bass, we kind of did that. Usually, we do that within like 3 or 4 days. We just are kind of a unit that way. Scott and I have been playing together for 20 or 25 years, so we just kind of really are locked in that way. The guitars, we really wanted to spend a lot of time and kind of expose a lot of different tones and stuff and leave a lot of options there. I would attribute a lot of those tones and the things that you're talking about to the guy, both who recorded it as an engineer, Joe Veers, and he works at Sonic Lounge Studio, which is here in Columbus. And I would also attribute a lot to that to Andrew Schneider, who is the one that mixed it for us. Andrew works at Acre Audio up in New York. We recorded another album with him, Colossus, earlier, and that was at a different studio down in Coney Island in New York.
Hmm.
This one, he just did the mixing for us and stuff, but he's a bass player. He plays for Julia Christmas and also Pigs. He's a phenomenal bass player. He's really, really in lock with what our bass player is also into. So it just really comes across as a really good cohesive sound that way and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Because a lot because of his like mindset to go into it. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure. And I think it's really noticeable for somebody that's an audiophile. If I'm a guitar player, so I notice the guitar, but the rhythm section sounds really good. The drums sound really good. And
Thanks, man.
I think it obviously has an engineer that put some time in, because as you know, being a drummer, a lot of times the guitar is too high in the mix, or
Oh
the
yeah.
vocal is dominating, and the vocal isn't dominating here. So I think the engineer did a really good job. So I think what we're going to do now is play a clip of track 4, which is Ozymandias or Ozymandias.
Ozymandias, yeah.
Ozymandias, that's what I thought. So we're going to play a little clip of that, and then we're
Okay.
going to come back and talk to that one. So this is track 4 from Lopan's new record that's coming out April 4th. It's called Get Well Soon. This is track 4, Ozymandias. Check it out. All right, that was track four, Ozymandias from Lopan's new record out April 4th. Get well soon on Magnetic Eye Records. This is Jesse Bartz who plays drums. And Jesse, that track to me is, I know that I got some information that there was another track that was the single. This is the single. This is a really great track. Can you just talk about this one a little bit?
Yeah, sure, no problem, man. I appreciate you liking the track and everything too. It's definitely good and encouraging to hear that other people dig it. This song actually was the last song that we wrote before we recorded. We wrote it within the last 2 weeks before going into the studio. Chris, our guitarist, had been working woodshedding this riff back and forth for a little while and stuff, and he had two, maybe three other riffs or something like that when we started working on it. And he kind of came up with the structure and stuff right before we went in the studio, and we just laid it down. Scott came in not too long after that, but there was no vocals written at all for it when we went into the studio. And over the next, I think it was about a month and a half or something like that, Jeff had a chance to take home all of the demos from the recording and lay out his vocals, and they came out awesome. We were all really, really happy with the overall product of it, definitely.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's a great track. It's really heavy, great guitar sound again. And then I think track six, Harper's Ferry, another good one. I mean, there's a lot of good ones here. And just, if you're someone who's into these heavy riffs and that solid rhythm section, the drums are really powerful. You're gonna
Yeah,
dig this.
thanks.
So I think what we're gonna do now is play a short clip of track six, Harper's Ferry. Check this one out. All right, everybody, that was track six, Harper's Ferry from
All right.
Lopan, April 4th. The new album is out, Get Well Soon. And this is Jesse Bartz, and Jesse plays drums. So let's talk about Harper's Ferry. How did this track come about, and what do you think of the recording of this track? I think it's a really great song.
Thank you very much, man. It has a lot of history in the vocals. I would say check out the lyric sheet when it comes out and it's available and everything. Jeff definitely puts a lot of intelligence behind his vocals and stuff, and it's worth definitely taking a deep dive into his lyrical presentation. This was actually a song written, I would say it was like either the second or third song that we wrote for this album. So we've been woodshedding this song for 3, maybe 4 years or so
Mm.
now. It is in some weird timing here and there. Scott was the one who came up with the original riff for this song and the basic rough draft for this song. It took a while for us to be able to get all on the same page and stuff. But yeah, overall, I think it's a really good presentation of, a little bit, like I said, challenging timing, but with very strong melody to kind of pull it all together and stuff too. And that tends to be, very unique to our Lopan sound, and we seem to have really homed in on that sound at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely when you think of if someone's going to say hard rock, there's bands you think of in a certain sound, but I think you guys expand on that quite a bit. Like you said, with different time signatures, and to me, again, the vocals really stand out as far as the quality of the vocals too, right? That's really a differentiator because there's a lot of really good guitar players and a lot of good drummers, but there's not as many good singers. So I think that's
Absolutely.
one of the things that stand out, right?
I totally agree 100%. Yep. Yep. There's a whole lot of different ways that you could present it and stuff, but honestly, we think of it in layers, and Scott, our bass player, and I, the drummer, we're the foundation of that, and everything else is built on top of that. And honestly, the vocals and the guitar, they are the icing on that cake, and they really either shine through, or you got to struggle with it and stuff. And sometimes it takes a little while for a band to find their voice or find their presentation and stuff, and that's cool too. I mean, I really dig some of the bands out there that stick with it for a while and keep pushing forward that way.
Yep. And then let's talk about the Columbus, Ohio scene in general. So you guys are based there, obviously, been around. So what's the Columbus kind of hard rock, heavy, music scene like out there?
It's really cool. It's really creative. There's a lot of different types of music and stuff. I moved here personally in '95. Scott, our bass player, he graduated right around that same time and started college. We were all in a couple of different bands around the scene before we actually started jamming together. I think we actually started jamming together as Lopan in 2005. So it's been about 20 years. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's a really good scene. There's a lot of young kids. There's always like about a half dozen different venues, different live music places for kids to play and stuff. With that, there's always at least two or three dozen new bands coming in, and some bands quitting and stuff like that. So it's tough for a lot of bands to stick together for a long time. I see that turnover a lot happen and stuff, and different bands cannibalize and become other bands and stuff like that too. But it's a really great place to work and be able to. The cost of living is really good here, and it's a really good place to be able to find employment and stuff too. So it makes it real feasible for a lot of good musicians and artists to be able to work together here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely, that's a factor. Is because I'm in Los Angeles and it's very expensive to live here.
Yeah,
And if you're a musician, you want to start a band, you have to, you know, survive until you make it or
yeah, yeah.
whatever happens, and that can be definitely a challenge. So
Well,
what
and
you
some of that speaks to the type of music that you make and stuff too. There's nothing like a hungry, starving artist out there that is focused on giving a good product or giving exactly what they want to present.
Yeah, 100%. And then, so you did mention 2005, the band started in some type of form. So how do you explain the longevity? Because as you know, I've been in bands too, and they sometimes they flame out after two gigs, and
Yeah,
sometimes they go 8 or 9 years, but then people are all life changes, right? People have kids, they have this,
yeah, yeah,
they want to go to,
absolutely.
they want to, a lot of times they want the spotlight, so they join another band, or they want to write their own stuff, so they go solo. So how do you explain the longevity of Lopan?
I would say that we're incredibly stubborn, and we're so bullish to each other that we can't even, walk away from each other. I mean, but in all seriousness, I think that it's like any other relationship in that you need to be able to grow and change together and be able to adjust to, other influences, other outside things that happen in life in general. I mean, all of us have been going through crazy things in the last 4 or 5 years with
Right.
COVID and all kinds of other things too, outside of the band. So a lot of the testament is to being able to support your friends when they need the support. And it's not all about music. I mean, a lot of this is because of music as well, but it's not always all about supporting just the music side of things. You got to be able to support your friendship in other ways and stuff too outside of the band. And I think that over it was tough for us for the first 5 or 10 years and stuff. And obviously we went through a couple of different members and stuff that didn't really want to, continue to cooperate with the band philosophy over their own philosophy or whatever that was.
Yeah.
But I think it's a testament to being able to mature and change and adjust to each other and being flexible with each other, kind of learn your lane, current kind of learn your lane and learn your strong point, your strong points in personality and your strong points in the band too.
Yeah, it's definitely, people that haven't been in bands don't quite understand it because you, if you, if you have a band with four people, they all have like, where do you want to go have lunch today? Everybody
Yeah,
could disagree on Chinese, Mexican, the pizza, whatever. So
yeah,
imagine being in a band writing songs, and someone has to take the PR piece and someone has to take the
yeah,
spotlight, and somebody doesn't like the spotlight, and this person's a good writer and this person's more, energetic on stage, and this
yeah.
one, all of that stuff is like,
All of it.
and not everybody, because it's not just enough to write good songs, as you
Yeah,
know, right?
absolutely.
Because you know people that write great songs, and they're just in their bedroom or their garage, and it never gets
Yep.
anywhere because they don't have the ability to look at the business side. So
Yeah.
somebody has to want to be the, like I said, the front person as far as like doing stuff like this, interviews and
Yep.
dealing with management and the business and tours and kind of moving the thing forward versus I just play guitar and write awesome riffs. That's not enough, right? Or I play
Right. No.
drums and just bang the shit out of my drums. Sometimes that's not enough, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's definitely a different side of it, especially when you're going into it at 18 years old and stuff. You have a whole different philosophy, a whole different priority set and stuff. And then you really pressure cook it and you put each other into a confined quarters of a van and
Yeah.
try to, stress each other out with no sleep and partying as much as you party and then driving as much as you got to drive and then not knowing you're going to sleep the next night or not eating the right way and stuff like that. So you're coming up with all kinds of health things too. Yeah, it's just a big pressure cooker at that point. You got to learn to either ride it or get out of the way kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And then is there, so I don't know about any touring plans. So do you have any, are you guys going to tour the record? Are you playing limited shows regionally, or what's the plan once the record comes out?
Well, in April, it comes out April 4th. We're going to do just some regional stuff for that time period. We're definitely planning a U.S. tour for the summer and probably a U.S. tour for the fall at some point too. So it just depends on when we hook up with the right bands and get the right package together and stuff.
Cool. And that when you say US tour, is that just East Coast or is that Central, or do you have an idea or you're not sure yet?
Not sure yet. I would say that there'd be 2 week intervals on both sides of that, and probably one will be focused on the East Coast and Midwest, and then one will be focused on the West Coast and probably Southwest and stuff too.
Cool. That's really great. All right, so we just have a couple of minutes left here. So what I want to do next is if you have any social call outs, right, a Bandcamp or Facebook or Instagram or X or anything that people can, if they're interested in the band, they want to check out your social media.
Yeah, I know that we have links on our bio on Facebook and stuff. I'm horrible with the social media stuff. I try to keep up with it as much as I can, but I have 2 kids and I'm just like totally working way more than 40 hours a week kind of situation. So I don't really keep up with it that much. Some of the other guys in the band, Chris, guitarist, and Jeff, our singer, definitely keep up with the Instagram and
Okay.
the Twitter accounts and the other
Okay.
things like that.
Cool.
So they're better to hit up. But I know there's links to all of that stuff in our Facebook on our bio link and stuff too. So you can hit that up there. And then MER has definitely links on all of their stuff to be able to contact us. Our Bandcamp currently has all of the pre-sale for the new album and stuff too. So you can get on our Bandcamp. I think it's Low Pan Rocks, if I'm not mistaken, with just a hyphen in between low and pan.
Cool. And then is there you did mention a video for one of the tracks. So is that on your
Yeah.
band? Is there a band YouTube page or is that Magnetic Eye Records
Yeah, it's on the
has
Magnetic Eye record page, but it's for Ozymandias. We actually had our moms come together and we were able to have them do the video for us and stuff. We thought it was a really great idea to bring them together and actually ended up being a really awesome experience to bring them together and do it all. Far, far better than what we anticipated going into it and stuff. But yeah, there's a video for that. And we're going to do some playthrough videos for the next couple singles that we're putting out and stuff too. So they're going to be coming out over the next, I don't know, month and a half, something like that. But we have one already for the very first single that we had, The Good Fight. Chris did a playthrough video for the guitar track for that song. And then we're going to do guitar, bass, and drums for Ozymandias, or no, I'm sorry, for the next song that's coming out, which is actually called Northern Eyes. And then Jeff might be doing something special down the road, like in a month or two, for that song as well, video wise, just independently, like acoustic thing or something.
cool. That's amazing. That's really good information. So I
Yep.
want to thank Jesse Bartz here from Lopan out of Columbus, Ohio. The new record is Get Well Soon, out on April 4th, Magnetic Eye Records. Everybody check it out. There's some really great tracks on here. And if you're really into guitar and drums, you're going to really like this record. So I want to thank Jesse for joining me today.
Awesome. Thank you, Damon.
You're welcome. This has been Damon D. One World, One Rock.